Max and I met on LinkedIn. Max reached out to me because I teach here, and he has a really, really cool live stream called Entreprenerd, and does a lot of really cool stuff with a lot of really cool things. Definitely recommend you check it out. Max, definitely drop a link to your website before the end of this. And Max and I nerd out pretty hard about no-code prototyping solutions, which is going to be pretty relevant to a lot of you as we move forward with our business models. So today, Max is going to be talking about some no-code platforms, take us through a few things. So last time Max visited the class, I thought it was super helpful and learned a lot, as did students for that class, and I'm sure the same will be the case today. So Max, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, name is Max. I run a show on the internet. I'm sorry, by the way, I'm going to be blowing my nose a little bit. I always have issues with allergies when I sit at this dang computer. I have a huge laptop and it blows dust in my face. Anyway, name's Max. I run a show on the internet, Entreprenerd. Every week-ish, I build a tiny little startup in like 90 minutes on my live show. I share my screen. I green screen myself into the corner. It's a whole bunch of fun. And the way that I'm able to build stuff in like 90 minutes is through what the professor just mentioned, a series of no-code tools, quote unquote, which just means like WordPress is a good example. It was first to the space. It's a very old no-code tool, but it lets you build a website, right, without like writing any HTML, CSS, or JavaScript, any of that fancy coding stuff. I went to Carnegie Mellon University. It's like the #1 school for like programming and coding. I cannot code. I tried so hard. I had the best professors, the best possible education. I wasn't a computer science major, but I took some classes and it just didn't work. So it's just not for me. But luckily, in terms of building stuff, you really do not need to know anything, jack. So yeah, WordPress is a good example. You can build websites. They previously needed no code to do those. Now there's literally about 100 different website tools out there to build your website or your landing page or your sales funnel or a series of websites, like website pages, anything you want. On the same level, building apps is just as easy. And those are the most common two use cases for no-code websites or landing pages and apps, mobile or web. So websites, apps, databases, online courses, membership sites, newsletters, the list goes on in terms of small internet businesses. I guarantee you I can figure out a way for you to build something up. And a web app is very flexible. A web app could be like a two-sided marketplace. It could be a community. It could be like a chat app, like anything that you could possibly imagine internet-wise, you can probably build it with no code really, really quickly. And there are even some like physical prototyping tools that connect to no-code tools to allow you to sell like apparel really, really easily and drop ship that, to allow you to 3D print. I actually found a no-code tool that lets you drop ship 3D printed stuff. That's really exciting. So it's getting there in terms of the physical products, but right now, mostly digital. Luckily, most problems can be solved digitally, or a lot can, I wouldn't say most. But yeah, that's my kind of background. I also talk a little bit about marketing. I'm used to people yelling at me in a chat box because I live stream on Twitch. So if you have any questions at all, I talk kind of fast because I'm used to keeping like no dead air because I host the show alone. So it's a bad habit, but if you have any questions at all whatsoever, drop them in the chat. I will answer them immediately. Would love it if you had any questions. It makes it a lot more fun. So yeah, I'm just going to jump into it. If nobody has any preliminary questions, I'll blow my nose to give you some time to ask one if you want. Oh, cool. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get going. Move over this so I can see everybody's beautiful faces. And then, here we go, chat. Bop. Bop. Awesome. Okay, cool. We have a question from Marisol. Funny enough. Sorry, I can't see your name. But good question. Did you mention how long ago you started this business? So I've been doing the live stream for about been almost 2 years now. It's Carly. Nice to meet you, Carly. Yeah, I've been doing this live stream for almost 2 years now. I started it right out of college. I had a video series in college called Entreprenerd that I was documenting and videotaping me trying to build small businesses. And they were a lot different. They weren't digital. They were like little lemonade stands or little freelance photography businesses or little more kind of typical things. And it was great. I learned a ton. And it was a decently popular series. But I ended up liking live streaming a lot more after I tried it like 4 months later. Yeah, and then I've just been progressively experimenting more and more. And like a year ago, 6 months to a year ago, I realized no code was a thing. I got more integrated with no code, and it's like leveled up the amount of stuff that I've been able to build on the show by like 100-fold. It's wild. So awesome. Good question. But yeah, only been doing this for a few years. It doesn't take that long to learn this stuff. Oh, all right, cool. Let's do it. This is Card. This is my favorite little no-code tool. I absolutely adore this. Me and Robert were just talking about this before. It's like the simplest version of a web builder you can find. The reason that I usually recommend it to students all the time is because it's just unbelievably cheap and unbelievably simple. There's nothing better that I can recommend if you're looking to save money and experiment, right? There are a lot of like, if you want to build like a full website, there is WordPress, right? WordPress is a really common one. I hate WordPress. I would rather die than use WordPress. So WordPress is like the de facto though. I really like Webflow. That's my much preferred like building site. I'll get to that though. That's for more full websites. But if you just need like something simple, I need to get a landing page up. I need to get something out there. I need to make it look like my business was real. I need to like push people to a place where they can take an action with a button. I need just anything on the web. Maybe a personal website, right? If your business is something that you create personally, or maybe you're a musician or an artist, Card does it all. If you've ever seen like Linktree, those little things that you put in your like bio on Instagram, it's a link to like 4 different things. Like here's my Twitch, here's my YouTube, here's my Twitter, right? So you can jam multiple links into one link. Very common on Instagram. If you've ever seen one of those from like some influencer, I rebuilt my own version of Linktree, like my own like little like series of buttons, my username, my picture, all my different links, in a really beautiful and smooth way. And it took me 5 minutes in Card. And it's way better than any other competitor because I can fully customize it. So it's just a very simple web builder. It's not going to nearly have as many like different things. And I'll go into this in a second. I'll show you how it works. But yeah, websites are done with Card. Very nice. Somebody else asked, what do you stream on? What's some tips you would give to new streamers? Ooh, I've never had that question. That's fun. So I stream on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, mainly on Twitch. That just seems to be where most people hang out with me, just because Twitch is the nicest streaming platform. Like YouTube has like a 10-15 second delay or something, but Twitch only has like a 2 or 3 second delay. When somebody chats me, it pops up on my stream, I see it, I answer. So a lot of people hang out on Twitch, but most people found me via LinkedIn because I like just have like over 10,000 followers there, just because I started really early in this space. What I would recommend for new streamers is Twitch is pretty good at helping people find you early on. Like it takes a while. It took me like a year to like start getting like noticed relatively consistently, and just growing organically. But if you like tag your stream with the game that you're playing, if you're playing games, if you tag the stream with the game you're playing, and like relevant other tags, and get your friends to join, so you have like a few people on there, it works. Like people find you naturally. It's pretty nice. But if you're not playing games, then it's a battle. It's an uphill battle to do it on Twitch, because Twitch is meant for games. But I do have a few strategies there. I would love to know if you stream games or not. Yeah, awesome. I'm not partnered on Twitch. No, I am I think a Twitch like it's like a Twitch affiliate, something like that. Yeah, if you stream games, just start. Like there's no better way. You will start to get naturally found as long as you get a few of your friends on there. You experiment, you goof off, you have fun, you make good content, and you tag your stream well. It's probably the best like organic exposure platform that I've seen. It's just it's It works nicely. I don't know. I've been found pretty organically by a lot of people. So, and I don't stream games, so it's a little bit more of a battle for me. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's better that I don't stream games because I'm a little bit more unique. But I feel like I've always had trouble on the platform. But good question. Yeah, I would love to see you stream games. That sounds great. It's a fun business to do. But it's going to take time before people start to naturally notice you. Do not give up. That's just content in a nutshell. Okay, cool. This is Card. Let's dig into it. I just want to show you really quick how it works. I also built a really simple little online course I built an online course for like high school kids that want to learn web development. And I used Card because it's just like the best thing that I could possibly recommend. This is a really simple little website. It's called Moo Milk. It was the startup idea of a kid at Drexel. And we were doing a live build and having a bunch of fun with it. And they were like, hey, what if we had a dumb idea, flavored milk? And I was like, that sounds great. So let's just come up with something. So we came up with a dumb name, Moo, but we used like the Greek letter mu, which kind of also sounds like moo. Very dumb. I loved it. But I made a couple little images using Canva. I can show you what Canva is if you don't know what that is. Very simple little design platform. I made a couple of images that looked like milk using Canva, colored them differently, popped them on a little landing page, and then put a little pre-order button down at the bottom. And the pre-order button leads to a form. So I'm not actually selling anything here. The goal here is to try to test if people want this, right? And the best way to test if people want this is to try to sell it to them. And if they click this button that says pay now or pre-order, right, with a price next to it, if they click that, they're probably interested in buying it, right? 50% chance I'd give it, like they're probably interested in buying it. So you can actually test. This is my favorite thing to do on the show. You can actually test if people care or are interested in buying your product before you make the product. Takes a lot of the risk out. Happy to go into this more if anybody wants. But yeah, so I built this in like half an hour. And this is the interface on Card, and this is the actual website. The only difference of like what it looks like is this little bar up here that you can, add elements to. So I can just click the plus button. I can add any element here. Let's say I want to add a video, drops a video down here. I embed a video from YouTube, or I upload a video just from my computer. And then I can move it up into here. I'll change the size a little bit, make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Let's change the margins. It's very, very simple stuff, right? You click an icon, or you click plus, you add something, you click the little paintbrush, you change how it looks, you click the main thing, and you change what the element actually is. So if it's text, you edit the text. If it's a video, add a video. If it's a picture, you change the picture. But that's just about it. It's just jamming a bunch of little element blocks on top of each other, and working with it. Yeah. And then there's also like containers. So a container could have columns, and I could have two things, right? So I could put the video here and some text over here. That is basically all you need to know to get started with Card. It's obscenely simple. So I'm going to delete this. Preserve elements. No. Cool. I was able to build this in literally like half an hour, and it works, and it's great. And I can push this anywhere I want if I want to test this startup idea, right? Wonderful. Robert asked, we use Gravit. Gravit, that sounds familiar. Is that another tool?
Yeah, Gravit's a free vector design program. So it's all vector elements, great for logos, great for merchandise. It's kind of like Canva, but it's focused on vector art. I use it for teaching kids how to design laser cuts because it's free. They don't need Illustrator, and it's web-based or an install. So it's great. And it's also cool for prototyping, layouts of apps and things like that. It's an alternative to Canva. It's just more focused on vector art.
Okay, very cool. Yeah. I've been looking for competitors to Canva. This is great. I actually don't have that many design tools on my list. This is my giant no-code list. Let's see. Do I have it here? I do not. I'm going to add it. That's great. Grab it. Boom. 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 This is a design tool. Interesting. Awesome. Beautiful. I'm super glad you recommended this. Thank you. I've been looking for more design tools. So for anybody that doesn't know what Canva is, it's just kind of the de facto for designing stuff. I can like create a design. I click plus here. custom size. I can make like it just gives me an image that I can edit, right? You can kind of see some of the stuff that I've built down here, just pictures, right? And some videos, kind of fun. There are definitely better design tools. This looks really smooth and sexy. I like this a lot. I want to try stuff like this. One of the things that I wish I learned like early on was design, because I am garbage at design. Yeah, it's always good to have tools like this. So awesome, perfect. No, I've never used this before, to answer your question, obviously. Cool, sweet. So yeah, this is Card. Very simple, great. If you want to go really heavy into web development and build like a full website with like CMS, which is like, I think it's like, what is it? Is it CMS? It's like block content, right? So if you have an article, or in my case here, I'll give you an example. This is just really good for SEO. If you want repeated content like a blog, or you want repeated content like for me, it's live streams, right? These are all the same format of pages. It just gives you can build like a template for a page in Webflow, same as you would build in WordPress. And you just fill out a little form with a bunch of information, and it makes a new article, right? So all these marketing t-shirts has a video, has a subscribe button, has a little bit of information. I scroll down, I click this, has a video, has a subscribe, has a little bit of information. It's all the same kind of template. And you're able to do that with things like Webflow. That is really, I would only recommend building a full dang website with something like Webflow if you really need SEO, which is search engine optimization, which just means if you really need to be found by Google, right? Google searches of all the websites on the internet. And when you Google something, it finds the best website, quote unquote, to answer your question, right? And the way that it finds you is via the stuff on your site. So if you need to be found on Google, you need to write a ton of stuff on your site. And if you need to write a ton of stuff on your site, I would recommend Webflow. It does take about 2 weeks to learn. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt in terms of no-code tools, but you scroll all the way down on webflow.com, there's a little university button here, and it has all the different videos that you could possibly need to learn how to use Webflow. So great tool, highly recommend it. Also, let me make sure that I am giving you guys the links to all these sweet, wonderful tools. That is Card. Card is great. That's just university.webflow. This is Webflow. Yeah, cool. Does that make sense? I'm a little bit sleepy today. I might be breezing through something. I might be missing certain elements. Any questions about web stuff, building landing pages, building websites, anything there before I move on to other possibly cooler stuff?
Just as a quick note, just to interject for a second, I used Card to build a website with all of the links to all of these no-code solutions that I can share with everyone. So, unless there's anything that you're going to show that I haven't put on there, but most of it is stuff I learned from UMax, so probably. If you miss a link now for any reason, I'll share the site so you all have it, and there's links to tutorials and stuff.
Beautiful, awesome. Yeah, no, I'm good on my end. That sounds great. Cool. Nobody has any questions. We'll move the heck on. Next, let's go over the two basics first. So websites are great. Now let's go over apps, how that kind of functions. Let's see. How about Glide? Glide is super simple. I kind of see this as like the Card of app builders, right? So very simple on most ends. It lets you build an app from a Google Sheet in 5 minutes for free, and that's not like a sales pitch. Like, it is a sales pitch, but it's accurate, right? It is not like dramatized at all. There was Halloween. I was on my live stream. This is a good example. This is built with Glide. I was on my live stream on Halloween. I was live streaming on Halloween because I'm a loser. Also because we can't like do things, so I feel like I'm not that much of a loser. But I was live streaming on Halloween night, and one of my followers was like, "Hey, I've got an idea." And I was like, "Sure, hit me with it." They were like, "What if there was an app that let you track how many calories you were eating in different candies on Halloween?" So you have your big bag of Three Musketeers, you bring them back, and you're like, I wonder how many calories are in this, right? Or you get some obscure candy and you don't know how many calories, like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe it's repackaged, who knows? But I was like, oh, that's easy to do. It's just a database on an app, right? So Glide is the perfect solution for that. Any information-based app Glide is perfect for it because it pulls from a Google Sheet to fill in the application. So all I did, I built this in 15 minutes, genuinely 15 minutes. I timed myself. I went on the internet. I looked up candies and their associated calories, a database, found a database of like 100 different candies, copy pasted it into a Google Sheet, connected the Google Sheet to Glide for free. And then it popped out this. I did a little bit of editing to make it structurally different, but it popped out this and it works beautifully. So this is just a list of different things. If you scan this QR code, it pops onto your phone as an app. You don't even need to hit the App Store. I didn't need to publish this in the App Store or anything like that. It's on my phone right now. I use it. Let's say candy corn. I click candy corn. It's not finished yet, obviously. Calories, kilojoules, because I thought that was funny in terms of like I think if you burn the number of calories, it creates that much energy. And then column 12, I can just remove that really quickly. And I also created an Amazon buy now link for a button. So if you click the Amazon link, it goes and you can buy candy corn on Amazon, which is kind of funny. And I could like affiliate link that if I really wanted to try to make some money off of it. This is more of a kind of a fun little experiment. But it took me 15 minutes to build this. And you can even click the plus button, add your own candy. And when you add your own candy here, it adds it back to the Google Sheet. If I went into the Google Sheet and added a candy, it would pop it up right here. Like it's a very, very simple app that just kind of documents little candies. But it took me 15 minutes to build. I didn't even put like a sales page on here. There's a whole, I could add a chat function to this. I could do a lot of it for free. It's a beautiful system. I highly, highly, highly recommend Glide if you want to build simple informational stuff. Oh, good question. Do you ever build websites for businesses? Yes, I do. I absolutely do. It's rare that I find a client. I just don't really hunt for clients that much. But there have been multiple instances where like a client or an individual or a business will want me to build something for them. And like, hey, I get paid like fair rates and I can do it way quicker than most people because I use no code, right? So yeah, like all this stuff, if you don't want to like use this to build your own thing, if you learn Webflow, you take 2 weeks to learn Webflow, you could probably start a web agency as an individual. Like I can build enterprise level websites after learning Webflow for 2 weeks, genuinely. That is not an exaggeration. If you work really hard and learn Webflow in 2 weeks, spend an hour or 2 hours per day learning this thing, you're like an intermediate to advanced web developer in like 2 weeks. Like the stuff that you can build is wild. And in terms of like highly custom specific stuff, no, you're not going to be able to build your own like heavily crazy unique animations or be some full service crazy thing. That's going to be a really, really high level request, but you're going to be able to compete with like almost every intermediate level web development agency, right? And you're probably going to be able to do it faster if they don't use Webflow already. It's crazy how powerful Webflow is. And there's some other tools that I'm going to show you that are just as powerful for things like apps. So highly recommend that even if you don't want to build your own thing, it's just really, really powerful to know how to build stuff. What about security? How do you ensure the websites you create are secure for users? Great question. So security is a question that I get a lot. It's not typically talked about in the no-code space, which worries me. And it's a really, really good point to be careful there, right? There are a few no-code tools that I've come across that really push security, which is awesome. In everybody that I've ever seen building everything in every different little space, I've never heard of an issue with security, which is positive, fine. But the fact that nobody's like talking about it, also a little bit uncomfortable, right? I want to do my own personal investigation into that to see what works. But in terms of websites, websites are just typically fine, right? The only issue you're going to run into security wise, if you're building something, is if your data for individuals is highly, highly, highly restricted, right? It's really, really valuable. It's not just an email. It's not just something. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like it's not just like information about them. If it's like patient data or it's government data, you need to be extra, extra careful, and there are restrictions you have to go through. So the tools that you pick to build things are going to be very, very important, right? And you're going to need to do heavy investigation into what is safe and what isn't. In terms of things like Glide, in terms of things like Webflow, in terms of things like Card, never heard of any issues. It's fine. I build like ridiculous websites, but I've never dealt with something like patient data, right? And so in terms of collecting patient data, I've seen a few tools used. They seem pretty secure. Like for instance, the tool that I used on my little website for Moo, right? It's called Typeform. It's a very simple little form software. It's like Google Forms, just a little bit sexier and smoother. A lot of like I think the UN uses Typeform. Like it's a very, very popular tool. I would probably recommend something like Typeform if you need to collect information, because it's used by so many people at this point that they have to have embedded security. My answer sucks. I haven't done enough investigation. I would use bigger tools to start because they're more established and other people are going to be crapping on them about security. You're probably fine there, but if you're dealing with patient data, you may have to end up building out your own solution. But you can still prototype the heck out of it, test it in the market, build an application that does everything you need to showcase what it does, right? Then you create your own offboard that's highly like secure, something like that. I don't know. That's probably what I would recommend. This is still great for prototyping. All these tools are still going to be great for prototyping, but if you're dealing with something like patient data or something that's highly restricted, you may have to custom build something in the future. So yeah, great question. I need to get better at answering that. I appreciate you. It's like the one question that I get that I like consistently that I can't accurately answer. It's a great question though. So
Webflow, that's used by some pretty major clients, and they have some case studies. I haven't done the digging about the security side of things, but they have a ton of case studies of companies like Rakuten and Dell converting from WordPress or somewhere else to Webflow. So you have to assume that these massive companies are trusting components of their website, whatever it may be, with something like Webflow, you're probably okay. You know?
Yeah. Webflow is an established enough company that I'm not worried about it. Typeform is an established enough company that I'm not worried about it. The app builders, in terms of websites, like having logins and things like that, and make sure your website doesn't get hacked, very rarely an issue. Because in terms of like Webflow as an editor or anything like that, you have to do the Webflow account. It's good. I think you should be fine on websites. The only place that I'd be worried about data is when you're building apps, because maybe, I don't know, the app structure might like contain more like user data than a website might. I don't know. So be careful with that. I probably wouldn't use Glide if you're looking to do something super secure, but I'll show you a few apps that allow, or I'll show you a few applications that allow you to build really simple apps, and they should be more secure. So, but yeah, in terms of websites, you should be fine with Webflow. Cool, awesome. Bit of a ramble, but great important question. So cool. I built this in 15 minutes with Glide. You just plug a Google Sheet in that has some nice data, and it formats it in a really beautiful way. So if you need to document information or record information or have like a directory, in this case, this is like a staff directory, incredibly easy. I actually have this idea where I want to build like I want to host like a big party at some point in the future, right? Like some big event, right? An exclusive big event, like 200 people are invited, whole big thing. And the only way you get to come is if you have the app installed, right? And like the app is like your thing. And then using this app, you know everybody else that's at the party. There's a little chat function so you can chat and see what's happening at the events. Like some big event with like a bunch of different startup people. I think it'd be really cool just to have like an app for your own like events, right? And have that be the ticket. And it takes me like 5 minutes to build. Like, why wouldn't I, right? Anytime you register, it pops you on the Google Sheet and it like puts you up on the list, right? Super nice. So I don't know. There's a ton of use cases that I can think of for Glide. I'm really excited to mess with it more, but it's probably the simplest kind of app builder that I've seen. Awesome. Typeform also, and then also Glide. Let me put this in here. I wasn't pasting it before. And then there's Typeform. Typeform is wonderful. I'm discovering a few other competitors to Typeform though. If you want other competitors, there's another one that I'm really interested in. There's like there's a ton of website builders. There are a ton of app builders, and there are a ton of form softwares. Those are like the three big ones in the space. Everybody loves building forms, websites, and apps. Cool, awesome. Now on to possibly my favorite tool and the one that I'm actively using on my show right now. I love this tool. This is called Adalo. Oh, I love Adalo. Adalo is like the next step in terms of app building, right? Glide, you pull it from a Google Sheet, super simple. It formats it in a cute way, right? You can custom build almost everything on Adalo. Let me show you what some of the stuff that I'm building right now. murder mystery spooky. This is a very silly little wireframe for a murder mystery app that I was building for a class just for fun. The one that I'm building on my show right now, this is my first really big app project. It's called PPC Marketing Simulation. I've noticed in university, this is my kind of little mini entrepreneurial journey and how I'm tackling it with no code right now, just from one of my more recent projects on the show. I noticed a problem when I was in my marketing class in college. They wanted to teach us pay-per-click advertising, which is where you go onto Facebook or YouTube, right? It was in a marketing class, like a full-on advertising class. They wanted to teach us PPC advertising, where you go to Facebook or YouTube or Google, wherever. You pay that platform a little bit of money, and it runs an ad for you, right? If you've ever been on Facebook or Instagram scrolling through, you get a ton of ads on your stories everywhere else. It is not hard to run those ads. It takes a few bucks to target it towards the right people, right? And every time it shows it to a person, it charges you a little money, right? Very little money. It's like $5 to show it to like 10,000 people. It's obscenely low, right? Of course, it's also very hard to get people to click on your ads, right? So it's a very, very popular form of marketing, right? But it's very hard to test in classroom settings, at least in my experience, because in order to do it, you have to pay money, right? And in order to get a student to pay money, you have to reimburse them. And reimbursement, in my experience, again, assumed problem. Reimbursement is a pain in the butt in university settings, because if your students paid $50 to do a thing, you have to get $50 back to all these students, and getting money from the university usually is a pain in the butt, right? So in that case, it makes like teaching them this kind of marketing really annoying and difficult, right? So people are less than likely to include it in curriculum. So I thought, what if I can build a simulation of something like Facebook ads, right? Offer that to universities. They don't have to pay anything to use it, but the students still learn how to run ads, right? That's my kind of theory. I need to build a simulation of running ads just to test, just so people understand how to do it, right? So kind of like a tutorial, right? Without paying any money. And I'm able to completely rebuild the Facebook ads platform in Adalo, no problem. It's taken me, I think, 4 hours so far. This is my progress. Let me preview it for you. Let me show you how it looks. This is the campaigns. These are the ad sets. These are the ads. I click here. I can edit my ad and I can view it. It's still very like basic. I go back to campaigns. I create a campaign. I name my campaign. What? I put in my daily budget, $6 per day. Create an ad set. This. The gender, I'm going to target all. I'm going to target age 26 to 40. I'm going to target people in Canada. Create the ad set. And I just walk through this. This is how it works on Facebook ads. It's a series of forms you fill out. And then when we go back to the main setup, usually it would post a little what here, right? The names and the titles aren't working correctly right now, as you can kind of see. So there's a few little bugs that I have to figure out, but like it's taken me 4 hours to get to this point. I don't know how to use Adalo very well. It's just me kind of figuring it out as I go, and it's just that easy, right? I love this tool. I cannot like recommend how much I love this tool. So yeah, I'm able to build out an entire simulation. I've seen people build like rebuild Airbnb on Adalo. It's crazy what you can build with this thing. 99% of app ideas, I almost guarantee, or 95% of app ideas, I guarantee you can build on Adalo if you futz. I adore it. The next step, and I'm going to learn this tool eventually because it's a little bit more functional than Adalo from what I've heard. You have a little bit more flexibility in what you're able to do. It's just really complicated. This is like Webflow on steroids. It's going to take you about a month of really hard work to learn. But once you learn it, you can build just about whatever you want, right? You can build Chrome extensions with this thing. Like it's crazy. You can build mobile apps, web apps, really like functional websites. You can build whatever you want here. So Bubble is great. It's just very difficult to learn. But it is the next step if you need to build something in no code. I'm using Adalo. I don't care. I'm going to eventually learn Bubble, but for everything that I've come up with on the show, I can build it in Adalo. Like 99% of the stuff you're going to be able to build with Bubble, 95% of the stuff you're going to be able to build with Adalo. And like honestly, in terms of editing things and changing things, Adalo is easier. I prefer Adalo personally, but I am a weenie when it comes to difficulty. I prefer to just use like the smallest tool necessary, right? But for almost everything that I've needed, Adalo is the smallest tool necessary. So those are my two, like, I love Adalo. I absolutely adore Adalo. Card is my favorite website builder. Adalo is my favorite app builder. They're great. Oh my gosh, I can build just about whatever I want with this. So those are the main tools that I use for app building. There's a bunch of other ones if you want to like create something really small to embed on a typical website. There's like, there's a ton. I have a giant, massive list of just heckin' like app builders. It's great. If anybody has any questions on building apps, put them in the chat. Would love to know. But other than that, I'm going to move on to a few secondary tools like Typeform, for instance, that I use to solve other niche little problems. Right. One of my favorite website builders, actually, that I forgot to mention, Universe. I love Universe. It lets you build websites on your phone. Like I can build full like multi-page blog websites on my phone, like while I'm on the bus. It's crazy what you can do with this thing. And it's like insanely easy to use. It's easier to use than Card. Like it's so naturally intuitive just how you kind of use this thing. I adore it. I absolutely love Universe. So yeah, it is only on the Apple App Store, which is really frustrating. Yes, it is iOS only. Sadly, I hate it. I wish it was on more stuff, but all the really, really cool apps are only on iOS. It's very frustrating. I wish I could give them to everybody. There's another new one that came out recently. What is it called? It's called Play. But like, oh my gosh, it's in like hardcore alpha, or beta, I guess. What is it? Play. Not this one. It's Play. Here we go. Create with Play. Create with Play is ridiculous. This thing is like Webflow on your phone. I don't know. Like this is probably more for you, Rob. Let me drop this in the chat. This thing is crazy. If you can get on the beta, like you will love this thing. It's literally like Webflow on your phone. Like the amount of functionality you can put into this thing, it's just ridiculous. It is on iOS only. So I don't know if you have an Apple phone. But holy crap. Like the amount of stuff that you can just design and move, like I could talk like for like 15 minutes about this, but it's so complicated. But I'm currently trying to learn it on my phone just because I like being able to do stuff mobilely. There's a bunch of crazy tools out there, crazy tools. So those are cool. On the heavier side, I really like Airtable. If you can kind of see right here, this little database that I have, right, with these cool little website buttons, I can actually transform it. This is what I advertise for people that subscribe to my no code series. This is just a series of cards of all the no code tools that I've ever found, right? This giant, huge list. You click into it, it pops open a list of stuff. I can click on the website button, it pops open the website. It's a very simple little database, right? It's a high quality, simple database. Those are built with Airtable. Airtable's right here. I wish I could show you the main, I guess I can. This will be Airtable. This is what Airtable is. It's a very simple database solution. If you need to track information, move information, if you need to have a workspace, Airtable's an incredible company. It's wild what you can do with it. But all my databases that I like care about and I need to like very carefully kind of curate. Any like batch of information, any people that I need to reach out to, any organizations that I love that I want to keep track of, any tools that I want to showcase and give to other people. I put them on Airtable just because it's such an accessible form for a database. And I've seen people, I've bought Airtable products. Like if your product is a database, like if you, like let's say you know like a lot of organizations that want speakers, right? Let's say you know like 100 different organizations that want speakers, or you've contacted 100 different organizations that want speakers, new speakers, people that have never spoken before that are really looking to start a career in speaking. Those people, those 100 people, those 100 different organizations, that's an incredibly valuable list of people, right? You can just put that whole list on an Airtable sheet and sell that list, right? To people that are looking to start a speaking career, right? They'll buy it, they'll buy that list for $50 and boom, they have every organization near them that's like interested in like helping them start a speaking career, right? They should reach out to every single one of those. They don't have to spend hours and hours finding all these different organizations. They can just pay $50 and they're done, right? Their whole funnel is right there. So I've seen a ton of stuff where it's just your product is a database, and the best way to sell database products is usually through Airtable. It's just they make it really nice. So yeah, databases for Airtable. You can also use Google Sheets, but I think Airtable is a little bit more accessible because you can put it into different forms. What are some of my other favorites? Notion is pretty crazy. This is my Notion board. It's a workspace. It's beautiful. I built websites on Notion. I like hardcore. My entire life is here. Like my absolute entire life is here. My personal life, my professional life, everything that I care about is on this one board. It's like Google Docs on steroids. You click into a button. I have a series of lists for different like startup ideas that I can build on the show. I have a list of mentions that I've tracked here. It's really hard to explain Notion. It's just like a workspace where you can store links, where you can store information, where you can have small databases, where you can create little articles or write like just content. And it stores it all in this like beautiful little like workspace homepage, and you can link between things really easily. Very, very smooth tool. I love it. So if you're looking for a workspace, there's that. Zapier is probably the craziest thing that you're ever going to need to know in the no-code space. Zapier is nuts. Yeah.
Zapier is one I've gone down the rabbit hole quite a bit with this one, and it's bananas. Absolutely bananas, the workflows you can build with this.
Yeah. So if you thought like Webflow's cool, right? Webflow's cool. We love it. It's awesome. Bubble is crazy. You can build insane apps, right? But those are isolated tools. What isn't is what Zapier allows you to do is connect tools to each other, and it gets crazy at this point. There's no limit to stuff that you can build. So I'm going to log in and I'm going to show you what Zapier does. Zapier. I'm not actually sure what the official pronunciation is, but let's say I have a type form, right? I have a form on my little website. Cool. I built a card website. We have, what was it? Moo. We have Moo Milk. And when somebody submits this little, I'm going to click the pre-order button. It opens a type form, right? Hey, super glad you're interested. Let's gather a little bit of information about you. Start, grab their email. Okay. I want 1 bottle. Cool. I want mint, right? I'm going to submit that. Every time somebody submits my type form, let's go connect this app, type form, with, let's say, let's say I want to connect it to something like, I want to connect it to something like Trello. Now, Trello is a very simple little workspace tool. It just creates little cards that you can move to other blocks. I can show you my little Trello. I run a small agency. This is my Trello for it, right? I have a card right here for my next live stream where my editor is going to, when they're done with it, they're going to take this card, they're going to move it over here, right? So now it's in the finished section. And once it's done, I'm going to move it over to the payment section. Once I've confirmed that it's done, I'm going to move it over to the payment section. Once it's paid for, I'm going to move it over to the submitted section, right? It's just a nice little like way to keep track of workflows. Very simple tool, but it's what I use to track content and like everything that's done and all the tasks for my agency, right? So let's say somebody new drops on my like my agency website. Actually, this is a good one. I have an agency website called Unnamed Agency because I didn't want to name the agency. We transform live streams and podcasts into engaging clips. Let's say every time somebody schedules a call, right? I pass them to a type form. Every time they fill out that type form, I pass it to Trello, right? So let's make the Zap. So they fill out that type form, and then it pops it into Trello. I don't have to go and check type form. I don't have to go and move it over into Trello. Every single time there's a new entry in type form, it will create a card in Trello, right? Very simple, right? But then let's also say it's going to email me. So choose an event, it's going to send me an email, right? Cool. So, and then also, let's say it's going to create a path. And if the email from Typeform was, let's say if the email from Typeform that they submitted, new entry in Typeform, if it contains Gmail in their email, I'm going to automatically send them a calendar invite for next Monday to meet with me. If it's a Yahoo email, path B, then I'm going to instead shoot them an email back saying, hey, how can I best send you a calendar invite, right? And then after that, like, I can connect literally an infinite amount of tools from different places. My email, my workspace, my database function. I could have it import into a list in Airtable. I can ship that list regularly. I could automate a sending of a list of I could automate my entire newsletter probably, if I'm creative with it. I could, like, every single time somebody publishes something, I could publish it on my site on Webflow, or every single time when somebody fills out a type form, I could then have it published automatically on my site on Webflow. Like, I'm bad at Zapier. I have no idea. Like, I can't even comprehend the amount of stuff that I could possibly do with this. I haven't futzed around with it enough, but I have created a few simple workflows. But if you need to connect any tools together, Zapier is just the best. It's the de facto in the space. Yeah, no. Rob, do you have anything to say on this? I feel like you.
Yeah, I actually have a pretty cool example of something I just built out for somebody. So
perfect.
Somebody saw a YouTube video I put out on creating automations with Zapier. He reached out to me, and he runs an international silent film festival. And so I helped him build. He was insistent on using Google Forms. I would have preferred if he used Airtable for this. But essentially, when a filmmaker submits an application, if the filmmaker indicates or any of the supporting actors indicate that they're under 16, an email with a consent form gets automatically sent to the kids' parents' email addresses. And when they return the email back with an attachment, Zapier takes the attachment, creates a link for it, and updates the Google Sheet with the link for the relevant person's consent form and an indication that the consent form was filled out. And this all happens with absolutely no effort on the part of the Silent Film Festival folks. It's pretty cool. It would have been better with Airtable, but it worked pretty well with Google Sheets.
It would have been a little bit better Airtable, yeah, because you can actually upload attachments to Airtable and it's all embedded. Yeah.
And records. The difference between Airtable and Google Sheets is Google Sheet is just a spreadsheet. Airtable is a database, so there is a record. Like, each individual could have its own record with all the relevant contact information and then all the relevant attachments. Just a little easier to digest. And but yeah, Zapier is like insane. It's just absolutely insane. Limitless amounts of things you can do with it.
Yeah, it's insane. I'm really glad you had that example. I have really garbage examples when it comes to using Zapier because I haven't used it enough on my show. That's beautiful. Yeah, you're like collecting information. You're reaching out when they send something back, like that. That whole system is completely automated. That's so cool.
And the coolest thing is you can query data from any of the steps in the process, whether it was who submitted the form, who sent the email, any of the data associated with that email, including stuff that you don't normally see. You can use the record ID from Google. I mean, it's cool. Like, you can use the steps in Zapier to, like, extract very particular pieces of data and then attach other data to it. It's pretty nuts.
It's great.
I nerd out pretty hard on that kind of stuff,
Yeah, it's wonderful. I love that example. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm super glad you had one. Yeah. Okay. We have another question. What is the basic blogging tool that can be easily integrated into an existing website? Interesting. Easily integrated into an existing website. So you want something like, let's say you have a website existing. You want to embed kind of a blog or just create a blog page from some external tool and pop it in. Is that what you're kind of saying? Because I think I have something for that. Yes. Okay, cool. Awesome. Let me go search my little database. Let me go back to here. I'm going to sort by, I'm going to filter. Add filter for type. Make the type blog. Writing and blogging. Here we go. There's only a few blogging tools. Let's see if any of these work. Substack, that's fine. Ghost is fine. Clean, streamlined blogging software. Send it to our newsletters and get paid. Push Notion pages as a blog. Make a blog using Slack. Everything that I have here, and these are all the blogging tools that I'm aware of right now. I think all the other tools, like there's something like Blogger, right? Blogger is another one that I should actually put on my little site. helps you create like a very, very simple little blog. You can create blogs on Notion. Notion is a really, really easy way to make blogs. It's most of the solutions that I've seen end up being part of the website builder, right? It's not usually something that you embed. And I think the reason for that is because the whole purpose for a blog is SEO. 90% of the time, the whole purpose for a blog is SEO. But an embedded tool, just something that you pop into your website, isn't part of the existing website structure. And so it's going to suck for SEO, is my expectation. So that's my theory for why I don't know about one, is because it's not going to work the way it should, right? You're not going to be able to just add something to your website and boom, instant SEO, right? So you might have to find a website builder that if SEO isn't an issue for you, like if you're not doing any SEO right now, right, then rebuilding your website may not be an issue, right? Because nobody's currently finding it through SEO. So rebuilding it and creating a blog on some other platform wouldn't actually be detrimental to you. It would just take a little bit of time, right? That's probably what I would recommend. I'd rather recommend Webflow, taking the time to learn Webflow. If you want a really like super simple tool, you can just go with Notion. Notion blogs, I think, where is it? It's Pageably. I think Pageably is a really simple little blog site, because Notion is just based on pages, and they have apparently like kind of a little bit of SEO. I've found Notion pages just by Googling stuff. I'd look up something with Pageably. It's Notion is like the simplest, like just page-based website stuff on the internet. So if you can publish a Notion page as a blog, it should work fine for a very simple purpose. But if you need SEO, I'd recommend going with Webflow. It's just I have no idea how SEO works. I'm bad at it, but I still get tons of visitors. I get like 100 visitors per week to my site because I just write content on my site. So
I think another option would be to use something like Medium, and I think you can embed a Medium feed into your site. But again, I don't know about, like, people are going to find the Medium blog post in Medium. They're not going to find your website with the SEO of that. So I think it's, again, an SEO issue more than anything else.
Unbelievably good point. So Medium is a really simple way to start with SEO. But yes, people are going to find it on Medium. Medium is, let me go to Medium. Medium is a very simple little, like, just publishing website online. You write an article on their website, and if it's interesting, people check it out, right? The benefit that Medium has is they have really, really quick and really, really solid SEO. So if you write an article on a question that has not been answered yet, somebody Googles that question, instead of waiting like 4 to 6 months for something for your website to rank on Google, it takes like a few months for Medium's articles to pop up, and people find it through the Medium feed and a bunch of other ways. So if you just want to get a few articles out there that talk about your product or your thing, do it on Medium. It's very, very quick. And then link those at the end of each article, link back to your website, right? It's the quickest way to get a little bit of SEO going. But exactly what Rob said, you're not going to be able to embed this necessarily on your site. It's not going to be part of your site. It's not going to help your site. It might help your site a little bit, but it's not going to overall contribute to the long-term SEO power of your website. So I use this if I'm just trying to test a new product out. Like, hey, I have a little like online course on how to like get speaking gigs. I'm writing a couple articles on Medium just because why not, right? If somebody searches and they find my Medium article, it links back to my little landing page. I don't care about writing a whole blog. So it's a quick little SEO solution, as much as that is a thing, but it's not going to be a substitute for your own blog. Yeah, so great point though, Rob. Yeah.
Jeez. So Max, let me ask you a question then, just as a sort of a mindset thing in terms of strategy. Like, let's say I was trying to sell myself as a database builder in Airtable or something. I could arguably crank out regular blog posts in Medium and then use like Card to make a landing page with all my contact information with a Typeform form to request information for a job, where my focal point is not getting people to a website per se. I just want them to read my Medium articles, and then it just links back to my landing page, right? Isn't that a method you could potentially use to get business?
100%, absolutely, yes. And like, you look professional. It looks like a blog on your website, right? It's a series of little pages where you can go read more about the cool stuff you're building. It functions the exact same. It's going to have slightly less great SEO, but if you're only writing a few articles here and there, like one every like month or 2 months, just for more fun, just for like a little lead magnet here and there, that works beautifully. That works absolutely, and that's like all of that is free.
Yeah.
You can build stuff on like the card website would be free, the Typeform would be free, the Medium articles would be free, all of that would be completely free. So I think that's a great little combination solution. Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sweet. Love it. Any other questions? Because we are, I think, coming up on time.
Yeah, I think we're just starting to wind down. Any other questions? Any other digital tools you'd be interested in asking Max about before we wrap up?
Yeah, and I'm also happy to send my giant list to
Cool.
anybody that wants it. Actually, Rob, I'm going to share this with you right now.
Yeah, that would be great. I would
like to
most
dig it.
definitely appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, it's got like 400 right now.
That's awesome. Keep
Yeah.
that up. You know what's interesting? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just had one question, just like based on just like the money making side of what Max does. So he's on a bunch of different platforms. So I'm assuming like he gets like he'll probably make some money from each platform based on views or whatever, and then he also works for clients. I was just wondering if he could kind of break down like himself, like how he makes money doing what he does.
Great question. Yeah. So the two ways that I make money, I'm hoping to be full-time on my live show by the end of the summer or close to it. That's my goal right now. And the way that I'm getting there is two things. The two ways that I've gotten paid through the show mainly. One, like client stuff, like that's just kind of separate. Three things. So one, client stuff that's kind of separate. If I can find consistent clients, I enjoy doing that more than just like little like consistent freelance gigs, because I just have total flexibility over when I do it and what happens. I enjoy building stuff, helps get me better at no code. If I have clientele, fine, right? That's not consistent though. The two main ways that I'm getting paid directly through the show, outside of doing freelance work, outside of doing anything else, is one, sponsorship. The reason that I built this giant list of no-code tools that I showed before, the reason that I built like that 420 like just list of these things is because one, I'm interested in the no-code space, but two, I've been sponsored by a few of these companies before. Because I talk about them on the show and I build stuff with them on the show, right? And there's no better form of advertisement than like showing people, hey, this is like a really, really cool tool that does this, this, and this, right? So for instance, Adalo, I'm currently talking with Adalo like every month, like, hey, you should sponsor me. Hey, you should sponsor me. And they're like, we're not ready yet. But I'm like so excited to work with them, hopefully, because I love their tool. I contacted Card, the one guy that runs Card. It's like one like super like genius dude. I contacted him and I was like, hey, is there any way we can work together? And he's like, we can give you an affiliate link, but other than that, we probably can't work together. And I was like, all right, that's fine. I'm going to contact every single one. I have a little no-code series online. Part of the reason that I'm doing this little no-code series, I make a video on every single one of these tools, is because I get to tag everybody from that company and say, hey, yo, if there's any way we can work together, maybe a sponsorship, maybe like a freelance gig, whatever, let me know, right? That's one thing. Companies will sponsor my show because I regularly promote their tools. In order to get more sponsorship, I need a bigger audience. But I like right now I charge Universe. Universe is actually when I contacted them because I love their tool so much. I was like, hey, can we work together? And they pay me like $200 a month to talk about their cool tool, right? Very simple. So sponsorship is one. If I can get like 5 to like 10 sponsors, I'm full-time. Right now I have 2, so it's a little bit tough, but I haven't been like doing a large email campaign yet. So that's one side of it. The other side is paid speaking gigs. I've been getting more and more of them. I actually, on my Airtable list, let me show you this. This is kind of funny. Part of me doing this right now is because eventually I hope to get paid with it, not from the university directly. If certain universities just don't have money to pay speakers, that's fine. But it looks great on my speaking resume that I get to speak at all these different universities. Also, it's a ton of fun. I grow my audience because some of you might like my stuff. So it helps on both sides, right? Grow my audience for better sponsorship and great speaking gig. So I can like put that on my resume, right? So this is part of the business, of course. But if I go over here to high value schools, I made a giant list of all of the top private schools and just top ranked schools in general. Private liberal arts schools especially, because I've contacted like over 100 schools at this point, I think. And the ones that are willing to pay and have actually asked to pay for larger workshops from me are private liberal arts institutions, like high level private liberal arts colleges, right? So I need to contact every single one of them because if they bring me back every single year to do like a paid workshop, that's a few days for me. I get paid like a solid chunk. Like one of them's a few of them are offering like 1,500 for like a 2-day thing, right? Which is great for me. That's fine, right? That's like that in terms of like speaking, that's actually on the lower side of things, but like that's more than enough for me. That's fine. So if I can get 1 or 2 of those a month, if I can get 1 of those a month, I'm full time, right? And so I just need to find 12 different institutions that bring me back once a year, right? So I made a giant list of like 150 different schools that are all probably have enough resources to pay me and might be interested because they don't have their own internal or they have some sort of an internal entrepreneurship program, but they might be looking to scale. So those are the 2 ways I get paid: sponsorship and doing paid speaking gigs or paid workshops at different universities, right? And then freelance to supplement it in the meantime. So great question. But everything that I'm doing is constantly monetized. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Because I feel like when people have an interest, they have like difficulty figuring out how to make money from it. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to know how you work with it. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
Totally. It's a great question.
Appreciate the transparency there, Max. That's awesome.
Of course, yeah. And there's one more question in the chat. Does knowing how to code help in any way? Yes, it does. If you're using things like Bubble or Webflow, understanding the structure of like how code works on HTML or like maybe like Python, and just understanding code structures does help in terms of like connecting things together, it like mentally. But even if you don't know code, you're not far behind. You get like an extra like 20% kind of mental like structure advantage, and that helps you build stuff. But other than that, no, you do not need to know how to code. Cool.
Right.
Oh yes, my stuff on Twitch. I forgot to promote
Drop
myself.
your links in there for sure.
Yes. This is my websites. You can watch all my past live streams there. And there's a couple of other little links there, like my Twitch, my Instagram, my LinkedIn. But Twitch is right here. This is the best place. If you want to check out my live stream, I would adore you if you followed me on Twitch. It would be amazing. Twitch is kind of the main platform that I'm trying to grow right now. Then we have Instagram. If anybody has any questions, just really, really quick, Instagram's probably the best way to reach out to me. I'm really responsive on Instagram. I'm like on my phone like 6 hours a day, so I will probably get back to you within a day. And then what else? LinkedIn is also a wonderful place to start. If you do connect with me on LinkedIn though, click the ... next to my name, scroll down, and there should be a connect button. Make sure to connect with me, not just follow me, because it says follow automatically, and I just set it that way. But yeah, there should be all the links. If anybody wants my email, I'm also happy to drop that if you want to email me questions, but you should be able to find that on the contact me section of my website too. Yeah, this is super fun. Would love to see any of you on the show or any of you on social media. Thank you. Thanks
as always, Max. I really appreciate your time, and make sure you put me down as a reference for speaking gigs in the future.
Absolutely. I'm monetizing the heck out of everything I possibly can. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I may ask you for a recommendation, actually. It would be really cool to get a testimonial.
100%. Just send it to me and I will, I'll make it glowing.
Beautiful. I'm actually going to write that down right now because that would be super, super helpful.
Yep. Anytime. Well, yeah, I really appreciate it as always. And thanks for sharing that list. I'm going to usurp a couple of things from that and put them on my little card site for my students. And I'll send anything cool I find your way as well. So
yes, please do. Because I feel like you're also aggressively looking for new stuff. Literally every day I find 2 more no-code tools. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So yeah, there's definitely more out there that I don't know. If you see anything, let me know.
For sure.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks so much. And, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be in touch for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you everybody for letting me blab at you for like an hour. So
it's great.
I'll see y'all later. Have a wonderful day.
So long.